point, and we'll take one of the additional item for retaining talent in our industry would be safety of the people, particularly those who are joining. And some of the people have heard horrendous stories about blowouts. So what kind of things we have done and what more can we do to make our workplace a safe environment?
Go ahead, Larry.
No, that's okay, Micah. Go ahead,
okay.
sir.
Yeah, I'd say the greatest exposure we have is, and it directly impacts communities we work in, that's driving. And if you've been in the Permian in the past 10 years, you're well aware of what those roads look like, what those heavy trucks, the frequency they're traveling up and down the roads. And I think it starts there, really it does. At H&P, we've lost 94 family members, workers, 2 motor vehicle accidents, and only 2 of those were on duty. So really the greatest risk this industry has is off-duty driving. And frequently that's to and from the rigs. We need to coach our people. We need to make sure they understand the controls that need to be in place. We probably take it for granted that people on this call, we would accept that wearing a seatbelt is a basic control, basic PPE for operating a motor vehicle. There are still people in this industry that don't recognize that. So if there's a single takeaway, that what we could do is over communicate to those guys. Put the seatbelt on, put the cell phone down, pay attention while you're driving.
Which actually, I want to jump in there and I want to recognize H&P, because you guys should all go out and Google Drive Safe H&P. You know, last year they put out, they worked with their employees and they developed a music video on Drive, as a Drive Safe campaign. And I will say, as a layperson, it's still relevant to me and catchy, and I even, it kind of pops in my head from time to time, Drive Safe. So, I mean, good job H&P for really trying to get, the message out there.
Yeah,
very good.
I'd like to add some comments to that if I could, Dr. Hasan. In our business, in well control business, we are in the zero defect business. We can't have any issues, any problems, especially in the type of environment we have to work in emergency response scenarios. With that said, getting to and from location and to and from our clients' offices in an emergency, of course, we have to follow traffic rules, regulations, and the like. But that is the most hazardous part of our job. In essence, we perform hazardous work, but we mitigate a lot of the risk or all the risk, if we can, out of a particular task or operation prior to performing it. But I think the biggest thing is when it comes to critical operations in the field, and this is in answer to Mr. Steve Bornkamp's online question, we have to be sure that we keep our people trained and we keep our people from becoming complacent to routine tasks as well as critical tasks. Critical operations in today's environment include hydraulic fracturing, well flowback, well completion activities, and the like. So I think we have to take everything a step forward with this, because we've lost a lot of people during COVID. We're hiring some people back, other companies are, and we just have to be sure that as leaders and the leadership team within our companies, that we don't allow our personnel to become complacent with what's going on routinely or in critical operations.
Thank you so much. That was very nice.
I think another thing that I've seen is, in 10 years of working through API and with our membership, I've seen a mindset change of, historically, I think companies were very safety practices are very proprietary. It's a competitive advantage. I'm going to keep my good practice to myself. And I think that is absolutely changing. I think companies are realizing that safety isn't a proprietary thing, that they need to, get the word out. I mean, again, I'll point to H&P. They've made huge strides in kind of, how they look at incidents and study it. And they've, been willing to share that with anybody who's interested. And I think that's a mindset you're seeing across all the companies. Here, I have a good practice, let me help you. We kind of talk about safety journey, every company is on a journey to be safe. It's a never ending journey. industry is always going to seek to go further and improve. And, I think companies are now willing to help everybody along on that journey.
Yeah, I would say to that point, Emily, I would encourage everybody, if you're not involved in the ID Safety Alert Program, those are available for everybody that participates in this industry. There's a lot of good information out there. It's on their website. And maybe back to Larry's point, continuing to leverage technology, find better, safer ways to do work. That's really what we're challenged with. And we continue to share those ideas with our customers, with our peers, and just encourage everybody to be transparent with that so that we improve the safety of the entire industry, not just one organization.
That's very good. I think some of your answers already answered the next question, which is, what are the areas that in our industry that could do most in terms of safety? And one of them, as you mentioned, training, particularly hazardous driving, falling asleep on the wheel, all of those. Any other items that you think needs improvement seriously?
So I'll jump in with maybe an answer. I think maybe, I'll kind of frame this and then I'll explain. I think alignment on safety practices and protocols. I think the industry is so eager to be, safe. There are a lot of different initiatives out there, from a national level at API to a more local level, that sometimes we end up shooting ourselves in the foot because there's just so many different messaging out there. And, there are a couple of things I'll reference. A comic strip I sometimes share with members, when we're working on things called, it's by XKCD, which is a really great nerdy comic strip. I encourage you guys to go out and find it. But there's one on competing standards. And so, the first box of the comic strip is two stick figures saying, we have 14 competing standards on how to do X. The next box is like, okay, what we need is one comprehensive standard for this that takes all these 14 and turns it into a comprehensive standard. And then the next box is, we have 15 competing standards. And so I think to some degree we have so many initiatives out there that sometimes we're not doing a really good job in kind of boiling it down to one. So, I think that's an area that as an industry, we need to take steps to, kind of help it. I had a contractor last year who said, because, and this was really directed at operators, because, a lot of operators have their own practices. For the contractor, he was saying, it's like I have to have a separate driver's license when I switch highways, because, I have certain practices from, this operator, and then I move over the next week to work for that operator, and I got to kind of change things around. So there's sort of an efficiency there, I think, as an industry that we could do better at.
And could not API try to push that standardization of practices? I also understand that European and North American standards are not the same, at least in a number of drilling related cases. Those should be somehow or other brought together, because in the ocean, there is no country that is different from another in terms of safety.
True. And I think this is something API recognizes, and we're trying to drive our members there. I mean, one of the efforts with the Onshore Safety Alliance that we're putting out there, I mean, when we started this a year ago, we said, let's not just put another program out there. If there's already a good practice, let's be let's facilitate and drive users to the good practice. And so, an example is, there's something we call life-saving rules, life-saving actions. And these are kind of the, 9 different tenets. These are the common hazards that workers face that we want to, push and promote to them. We as API and through this Onshore Safety Alliance, we don't want to go create our own rules. We're basically recognizing that there's good already out there, and let's encourage companies to go and just use what's already out there. So, there's definitely room for improvement, but I think we're trying to